the Lakers were completely broken up by the Rockets with a 2-4 score. The Lakers team that eliminated the Rockets in last season's playoffs has thoroughly disbanded. After LeBron James announced his departure from the team, the Lakers signed 4 players in a single night, instantly spending their entire $50 million in cap space. This wave of additions specifically included acquiring 25-year-old young center Walker Kessler from the Jazz via a sign-and-trade, signing Raptors interior player Sandro Mamukelashvili to a 4-year, $52 million contract, landing 76ers wing Quentin Grimes on a 4-year, $60 million deal, and finally using a 2-year, $19 million contract to sign Hornets guard Collin Sexton. After this flurry of operations, all of the Lakers' cap space has been completely used up. Moving forward, the Lakers truly only have the option to sign veteran minimum contracts, and their reinforcements for the entire offseason are basically wrapped up. The Lakers completely gave up on last season's opportunity, as Marcus Smart signed with the Rockets for 2 years and $10 million, and Luke Kennard signed with the Suns for 2 years and $10 million. Rui Hachimura is also highly likely to be lost in free agency. If the Lakers want to keep him, they need to clear out the contracts of Jared Vanderbilt and DeAndre Ayton, which is nearly impossible. Aside from Ayton, the entire 4-man starting core from last season's playoffs has left. The Lakers decided to forget the past and open a complete rebuild centered around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, starting over from scratch. This move has received mixed reviews among the fans. Some are very excited about the arrival of the Lakers' new players, while others believe Rob Pelinka is just blindly signing people and has ruined the Lakers' future. So how strong is this brand new Lakers team exactly? Can they be better than last season? Can they still win a championship in the future? We will investigate all of this today. Let's start with Walker Kessler. Kessler is currently a restricted free agent whose rookie contract has ended, and due to team restrictions last season, he only played 5 games. The Jazz offered him a 5-year, $140 million contract, but they couldn't close the deal. The best case for the Lakers was to sign him directly, but the Jazz would most likely match it. They would not let the Lakers get away with him easily. In the end, the Lakers still chose a sign-and-trade to bleed assets. They sent out unprotected first-round picks in 2031 and 2033, along with pick swaps in 2028 and 2030 to sign Kessler to a 4-year, $130 million contract. Kessler has been the Lakers' dream center for many years. As early as the 23-24 season, the Lakers had skyrocketed in their pursuit of him and inquired about Kessler. From 2024 to 2026, nearly every single offseason, Kessler was the Lakers' primary target at center. However, Danny Ainge's asking price was always extremely high, and since Kessler was still on his rookie deal at the time, trying to trade for him was incredibly difficult. Over the past season, Kessler only played 5 games due to a torn left shoulder, and with his rookie contract expiring, his trade value has significantly dropped, yet the Lakers still surrendered 2 first-round picks and 2 swaps. Why is that? What kind of magic does Kessler have, and is he worth the Lakers gambling their future on? First of all, from a foundational standpoint, Kessler fits the current Lakers perfectly. Jalen Duren might have better offensive capabilities inside, but his defense is night and day compared to Kessler's. The Lakers are building a team around a defensively weak backcourt duo, so the defense of their starting frontcourt trio is absolutely critical. The demand for defensive ability is even higher than for offense, and Kessler is a player born to defend. Kessler was a 5-star recruit in high school and made the McDonald's All-American team. During his freshman year at North Carolina, he couldn't crack the main rotation, playing only 8 minutes per game and essentially wasting a year. As a sophomore, he transferred to Auburn University, and after that, he broke out, averaging 11.4 points, 8.1 rebounds, and a nation-leading 4.6 blocks, winning NCAA Defensive Player of the Year. Kessler was viewed as the best rim protector in college. However, his role is very singular, a pure blue-collar finisher without the talent to become a true star. Ultimately, he was selected 22nd overall in the first round and was quickly traded to the Utah Jazz as part of the Rudy Gobert blockbuster. In his rookie season, Kessler put on a show, averaging 9.2 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks. His rim protection was utterly terrifying. Combining contest frequency and rim deterrence, he was the best in the league, becoming the NBA's premier defensive center. Meanwhile, Gobert, the reigning best defensive center, was forced by the Wolves coaches into high drop coverage, causing his rim defense to plummet. The narrative at the time was that Utah sold Gobert and replaced him with a younger, stronger version while pocketing 3 extra first-rounders. The Jazz utilized a highly successful 5-man lineup of Mike Conley, Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, Kessler, and Malik Beasley back then. With Conley feeding him lobs, Kessler unlocked a ton of easy finishes on offense. He eventually finished 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting and even made Team USA. However, Danny Ainge didn't want to pursue instant wins. They wanted to keep hoarding lottery talent. In the 23-24 season, their point guard spot turned into rookie Keontae George, and the team's developmental core shifted heavily toward him. They also brought in John Collins from the Hawks, who completely hijacked high-screen role privileges. This caused Kessler's offensive volume to plummet and his impact to slide. Kessler only started 22 games that year, and the team won just 31. In his 3rd season, Kessler finally became the full-time starter, but the Jazz's overarching strategy was still to tank, because in the summer of 2025, there was a top-tier prospect like Cooper Flagg. In this tanking environment, players like Kessler and Markkanen had no real choice but to drift along with the team's direction. The Jazz, aiming for the best lottery odds, indeed secured the highest probability for the #1 pick. However, by a cruel twist of fate, the top pick was snatched by Dallas, who only had a 1.8% mathematical prayer, leaving the Jazz with the 5th selection. Entering this current season, the Jazz continued to tank while developing their young guys, and Kessler suffered a season-ending injury after playing just 5 games. He actually played quite well in those 5 games, averaging 14.4 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 3 blocks, while incredibly shooting 75% from downtown. However, the sample size was simply too small to hold much analytical value. The biggest issue over Kessler's past 4 years is that he has never been in a winning culture.
Aside from his rookie year where they played somewhat normal basketball, the subsequent seasons have been filled with intentional tanking. For a blue-collar, defensive-minded center, being stranded on a tanking team is practically useless and a complete waste of talent. Kessler's rim defense is absolutely genuine. Even while on a tanking team, his rim protection numbers every year are top tier in the league, standing at 7'1" with a 7'4" wingspan combined with solid positioning, agile footwork, and sharp observation. He can effectively guard 2 players at once during pick and rolls. His reaction speed near the rim and his ability to jump multiple times in quick succession are deeply impressive. He is undoubtedly an elite rim protecting anchor. Furthermore, Kessler is surprisingly nimble. Despite his massive size, he can execute switching defense. His coverage area is huge and his recovery speed back to the paint is quick, making him nothing like a slow, heavy center like Ivica Zubac. Judging strictly by defense, I believe Kessler is exactly the archetype the Lakers need most, and they couldn't have found a better option anywhere else. On the flip side, Kessler's offense leaves much to be desired. He offers zero self-creation and is a pure spoon-fed rim runner. Compared to athletic powerhouses like Jalen Duren or Daniel Gafford, Kessler lacks high-flying dynamic athleticism and refined ball handling skills. His finishing radius is exceedingly small, heavily relying on brute force near the rim. Once forced to utilize bank shots or floaters, his scoring efficiency drops significantly, revealing a very raw touch. His career free throw percentage sits at a dismal 54.5%, and excluding his 5 games last season, he has 0 3-point threat. However, playing alongside Luka Doncic, Kessler's primary focus will simply be dunking the ball. Luka naturally operates better with heavy, bruising screen setters rather than bigs who pop to the arc. Kessler can basically be viewed as a version of Rudy Gobert with boosted defense and minimized offense. He's still very young at only 24 years old, and the past 4 years of his career were completely sabotaged by his environment. He has never played alongside a point guard of Luka's caliber. Even when paired with guys like Iante or Keontae George, he managed to average 11.1 points per game. He will undoubtedly perform even better with the Lakers. The 4-year, $130 million contract, averaging $32 million annually, is quite palatable, considering Duren is demanding $50 million. I would pick Kessler without hesitation. hesitation. The only flaw in this transaction is surrendering 2 first-round picks and 2 pick swaps, and they are highly valuable distant future picks. Kessler only played 5 games last season, so the market demand for him wasn't actually that massive. It's really only a defensively porous team like the Lakers that desperately needed him. Under normal circumstances, he shouldn't have commanded such an exorbitant price. But with LeBron gone, the Lakers were backed into a corner with zero leverage. They had to bite the bullet, bleed assets, and ultimately let Danny Ainge fleece them. Once the center spot was resolved, the next objective was a 3-and-D win.
The Lakers used a 4-year, $60 million contract, $15 million AAV, to sign Quentin Grimes. Last year, on March 18th, I posted a video detailing his background. He was considered a top-tier prodigy in high school, but had a rather mediocre professional development. When he first arrived at the 76ers in 2025 season, capitalizing on the absence of their main stars, he erupted for a crazy stretch, averaging 21.9 points per game. But by 2026, he quickly crashed back to earth, settling into the role of a starting caliber 3-and-D player. His inability to crack the starting lineup in Philly last season was primarily a roster construction issue. The 76ers' wing spots were occupied by Paul George and Kelly Oubre Jr., who are clearly superior players, and Tyrese Maxey's undersized frame forces him to play guard, pushing Grimes into a 6th-man role. Objectively, Grimes executes fundamental 3-and-D duties perfectly well. His three-point shooting is highly accurate. Don't be fooled by last season's 33% overall percentage. That number was heavily dragged down by a high volume of difficult, self-created pull-up threes. His catch-and-shoot three-point percentage was a stellar 38.9%, and on wide-open looks, it jumped to 43.3%, combining high volume with high efficiency. Additionally, he can occasionally put the ball on the floor and possesses decent passing ability. While his defense isn't absolutely elite, he has years of experience as a point-of-attack defender capable of guarding 3 positions. His defensive effort against Jimmy Butler in the 2023 playoffs stands out as a career highlight. My evaluation of Grimes is that he is an entry-level 3-and-D player, meeting the baseline requirements to be a starting 3-and-D wing. Signing him for $15 million is a sound move, as the Lakers simply couldn't afford anyone better anyway. He will be critically important for the Lakers because looking at their roster, they literally have no one else who even resembles a traditional 3-and-D player. To address the forward position, the Lakers spent a 4-year, $52 million contract to sign Sandro Mamukelashvili, Mamu. Selected as the 54th overall pick, he completely rode the bench during his early days with the Bucks. It wasn't until he was traded to the Spurs that he saw rapid improvement. He wisely identified his niche, focusing intensely on developing his three-point shot. After years of hard work, he successfully transformed into a stretch big over the past 2 seasons. His three-point volume and efficiency have been excellent recently, taking 7 attempts per 36 minutes while shooting over 38%. However, I have always harbored deep doubts about his three-point consistency. His shooting can be incredibly erratic,
having had 2 seasons where he shot in the low 20% range. Furthermore, his career free throw percentage is a mediocre 73.9%, proving he is not a natural-born shooter. During last season's playoffs, his three-point shooting plummeted to a tragic 28.6%. For an interior player with average athleticism and poor defense, his three-point shot is his sole competitive advantage. His ability to play the power forward position relies entirely on his perimeter threat. If his shot isn't falling, his mere existence on the court becomes a liability. While his defensive metrics looked decent last season, that was heavily masked by playing within the Raptors' fierce team-oriented defensive scheme. Historically, his defensive impact has been atrocious. If played at center, his rim protection is non-existent. If forced to switch out onto the perimeter, his lateral quickness cannot keep up with guards. In the playoffs, he was relentlessly headhunted by James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, getting targeted to the point where he was played entirely off the floor. I would absolutely never give him a $13 million annual contract. Consider this: LeBron James's potential mid-level exception would be around $15 million. Can Mamu even hold a candle to LeBron? If LeBron were on the Raptors, would he be relegated to playing only 14 minutes a game? A Raptors team with LeBron would have gone straight to the Eastern Conference Finals. For a player of Mamu's caliber, you could easily find a veteran minimum guy to do the same job. Spending $13 million on him is a massive overpay. Some claim he can easily replace Rui Hachimura. That's completely absurd. They are miles apart in talent.
Hachimura is a textbook scoring forward whose playoff efficiency has never faltered. Plus, Hachimura has reliable mid-range game and can punish mismatches off the dribble. Mamu, on the other hand, is fundamentally a center whose entire game predicates on shooting. The second his three-pointer stops falling, he becomes completely useless. To sum it up, I believe the acquisitions of Kessler and Grimes are solid moves. These two were clearly brought in to be starters. They successfully plugged the team's most glaring holes at center and the 3-and-D wing spot, and their contracts are reasonably priced. However, for a backup big man role like Mamu's, I strongly prefer using a veteran minimum contract. They could have just stuck with Jackson Hayes. Hayes would only cost around $6 million. Yet they let Hayes walk, and honestly, Mamu might not even be as playable as Hayes in a playoff series. Lastly, securing Collin Sexton on a 2-year, $19 million deal is a genuinely good move. Sexton provides excellent offense, and the team absolutely needs a player of his archetype.
Given the Lakers' current roster construction, they desperately require a pick-and-roll savvy sixth man to sustain the offensive firepower when Doncic rests. Sexton has maintained excellent offensive efficiency for years, and backup bucket getters like him can easily command offers around $15 million annually. Getting him for roughly $9 million a year is a slight steal. Overall, out of the Lakers' 4 signings, 3 are perfectly fine. Giving up 2 first-round picks for Kessler feels like a slight overpay, but their hands were tied. However, signing Mamu is a move I firmly disagree with. Right now, the Lakers have their starting center, starting 3-and-D wing, and Luka Doncic, leaving a massive hole at the starting forward position. You might be able to patch it up with makeshift solutions during the regular season, but for the playoffs, you absolutely need a legitimate forward capable of playing 30-plus minutes a night. Now that the Lakers' cap space is entirely topped out, who can they even sign? Looking at the current free agent pool, the only starting caliber forwards left are LeBron, Hachimura, Kuminga, PJ Washington, and Draymond Green. As for bench options, you have guys like Kevin Love, Wenyen Gabriel, Zaire Williams, and Jerami Grant. That's all that's left on the board. Who are the Lakers going to sign? This raw, rebuilt roster is nowhere near complete, and as of right now, it is depreciated and definitely a downgrade from last season. The most conservative move would have been to retain everyone from last season's squad, which they were entirely capable of doing, but they flat out refused. They completely ignored contract talks with LeBron, intentionally pushing him out the door. The Lakers are dead set on severing all ties with the previous era and forcing the dawn of a new one. Why were none of the role players who performed so well in last season's playoffs retained? Because they were all branded as remnants of the old era. Last season, with their defensively vulnerable backcourt missing, LeBron carried a group of fringe players to the peak of their careers, pulling off a miracle by eliminating the Rockets. That immense team resilience was entirely cultivated by LeBron's leadership. Those guys respected and followed him exclusively. Now, the Lakers' primary objective is to re-establish Luka Doncic's absolute authority, ensuring the franchise becomes his team and his team alone. The Lakers chose to butcher their old chemistry and loyal role players just to force this new timeline. My initial thought was that since the Lakers couldn't beat powerhouses like the Thunder or the Spurs no matter what moves they made, they might as well run it back with last season's roster for one more year. But the Lakers front office is looking strictly ahead. They believe the franchise's future belongs entirely to Luka. Everything must concede to Luka, ensuring he feels completely comfortable and recognized as the undisputed alpha of the team. The root cause for taking such extreme measures is simply that LeBron is too unique of a presence. LeBron had already made massive sacrifices. He relinquished ball handling duties, played extensively off the ball, and even willingly accepted a role as the third option. He also managed his relationship with management very well, as LeBron has always been a highly diplomatic and tactful figure. But as long as LeBron is in the building, Luka will inevitably feel the pressure. Because LeBron is a legitimate GOAT candidate with profoundly revered status, his sheer presence creates an invisible, overwhelming aura, a king's hockey. Furthermore, his historical standing within the Lakers organization will permanently eclipse Luka's.
He won a championship for the franchise, led them to 2 conference finals, and is a certified Lakers legend. If LeBron were still in his prime, this wouldn't be an issue. Luka could just naturally assume the role of his sidekick. But because LeBron is in the twilight of his career, having a player of his historical magnitude act as a supporting piece for Luka creates an incredibly complex dynamic. I don't believe there is any bad blood between them. It's just that the unique nature of their respective statuses makes coexisting highly awkward. If I were Luka, as long as LeBron is on the roster, I would feel immense pressure and wouldn't be able to play freely. It would be fine if I were a backup or a role player, but now I'm being asked to be the leader, and when I'm on the bench, that veteran can still carry the team to the second round, and the locker room absolutely worships him. That dynamic is just bizarre for a newly appointed cornerstone. However, with a complete roster reset, all these thorny issues vanish. Now, Luka is the absolute leader with unquestioned authority, just like he had back in Dallas. This brand new Lakers team might be miles away from a championship, but their absolute prerequisite was freeing Doncic from LeBron's shadow so he can be his authentic self. It's a cold-blooded, tragic reality, but it's the gamble LA chose to make. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more NBA content. Thanks for watching.